Do you know the history of the 19th Oba of Benin and his war general Iyase Ekpenede? Sit back, I'll tell you. Oba Ehegbuda Nobu was the 19th emperor of Benin. He was a physician and a traditional medicine practitioner. These qualities earned him the appellation Ehegbuda Nobu. The title of Iyase was created by Oba Ewedo in 13th century. So all the subsequent Obas traditionally had their own Iyase, although due to history, some didn't have before Oba Orogba. Oba Orogba founded Eko. He was the father of Ehegbuda Nobu. Oba Orogba had an Iyase 8 years before he passed away. So after he passed away, his son Ehegbuda inherited the Iyase called Iyase Ekpenede. Iyase Ekpenede later became the war general after Ehegbuda's injury at Akure. Iyase Ekpenede served Oba Orogba and his son Oba Ehegbuda for 3 good decades. He was so powerful due to his might as a war general. He was feared among his peers. He was feared outside and inside the Empire of Benin. In 1578, Oba Ehegbuda Nobu ascended the throne after the passing on to glory of his father, Oba Orogba. After Ehegbuda ascended the throne, as a warlord and a physician that he was, he conquered so many parts of today's western Nigeria. On one of his campaigns to Akure, he got some severe burns. When he returned to Benin after his successful campaign at Akure, he made it compulsory for all other Edo people to replicate the marks on his own body, which was later called Iwu mark. These marks marked the very day of his success at Akure. These injuries Oba Ehegbuda had shifted the position of the war general from Oba Ehegbuda himself to Iyase Ekpenede. Iyase Ekpenede became the leader and the war general of the imperial army. He led so many campaigns. Iyase Ekpenede was a successful warlord. He always succeeded at every war he went to. This made jealousy to set in from his co-chiefs. They also feared that one day he might rise up and challenge the Oba to a duel, which Iyase had no intention of doing this. Some of Ekpenede's co-chiefs prayed so hard that one day Ekpenede would go to a war and never return. In the early 1580s, Oyo armies encroached into the territory of the Oba of Benin. Oba Ehegbuda brought this to the notice of Iyase Ekpenede and asked Iyase Ekpenede to take his armies and march down to stop the advancement of the Oyo armies. If need be, conquer those territories as well. Iyase Ekpenede's co-chiefs that were jealous of him were very happy with the news that the Oba had sent him to engage in a battle with Oyo armies. They knew the fact that the chances of survival of Iyase Ekpenede was a 50-50 thing, because they knew that Oyo was as powerful as Benin Empire. They had their warriors, tough warriors as well. So before Ekpenede could agree to Oba Ehegbuda, he told Oba Ehegbuda that he should help him look after his only child called Idodia. Ekpenede had a very vast compound. So Idodia was a teenager. He couldn't take care of himself even when left alone. So he took him to the palace of Oba Ehegbuda before he left to this war. Benin warriors were led by Iyase Ekpenede and Oyo warriors were led by Are Onakakanfo of that era. So instead of having a war, they met at today's Ekiti state, but they reached a peace treaty instead of a war. They settled their scores at Otun. Iyase and Are planted different trees of their choice. The Are planted a silver palm to his own boundary, facing his own territory. Iyase planted an Ikimi tree facing his own territory as well. So they marked the boundary between Benin Empire and Oyo Empire. While the Oba and other chiefs waited for the news of Iyase Ekpenede, Iyase Ekpenede returned successfully from this war. But he is not to enter the heart of Benin where the Oba resides. It is forbidden. According to tradition, every Iyase that returns successfully from a successful campaign is to exile himself outside Benin. This brought about a parable in Benin. Iyase ga sokwe, ori lade kwara. Meaning, whenever an Iyase attains the level of mightiness, he voluntarily exiles himself. Exiling himself not without the privileges accorded to a warlord. Iyase Ekpenede exiled himself to a community called Uga in today's Uhunde local government. Uhunde as at that time was a gateway to so many territories that paid tributes to the Oba of Benin. Tributes that were paid through that territory of Uhunde into the heart of Benin to Oba Ehegbuda. Iyase Ekpenede had to pick first from those tributes. He chooses the ones that are to go into the heart of Benin. This made Iyase Ekpenede 100 times richer without the interference of the Oba, because that was what tradition said. He has attained that might. Among the chiefs that were jealous of Iyase Ekpenede's success was a chief called Unwagwe Osokrikpa. Unwagwe Osokrikpa connived with some other chiefs. They played an underground politics, because don't forget that when Ekpenede arrived into Benin, he didn't come into the heart of Benin. He exiled himself to Uga community. So his son was still at the palace of Oba Ehegbuda at this time. These chiefs connived and accused the teenage son of Iyase Ekpenede to have slept with one of the younger queen of Oba Ehegbuda. This was a grave crime in the empire. This was called in Edo language, Ohiebe Sirahe. So without hesitation or delay, the son of Iyase Ekpenede was quickly arrested and placed in a jail. Without much delay, Iyase Ekpenede was quickly notified by whistleblowers that his own life was at stake. due to the fact that his world would crumble if his son's life was taken by the executioners in the palace. According to history, Iyase Ekpenede, as a rich warlord, sent gifts and beads and cowries worth billions in today's naira to Oba Ehengbuda in order to grant his son a royal pardon for his mistake. For the second time, Iyase Ekpenede sent gifts worth billions again through Chief Oshodi and Chief Nwangwe and some other chiefs. He also sent gifts to other chiefs to join him in pleading with the Oba to grant his son a royal pardon. He sent 7 virgins to Oba Ehengbuda as well. With all the gifts Iyase Ekpenede sent into Benin, the chiefs in the upper echelon refused to let Oba Ehengbuda know about this. They deliberated within themselves and they concluded that the laws of the land must take its course. The only child of Iyase Ekpenede must be unalived by hanging. Chief Oshodi, Chief Nwangwe, and some other chiefs took the only son of Iyase Ekpenede without the knowledge of Oba Ehengbuda. They took him to the chief executioner, Chief Ekegbian. Chief Ekegbian then in turn took Idodia to a moat in today's Benin around St. Saviour. They unalived him by hanging to an oka tree. You are thinking what I'm thinking, right? Yes, Iyase Ekpenede heard this news. The only child of a warlord has been unalived. Hair was let loose on that very day. On my next episode, I'll tell you how Iyase Ekpenede reacted to this news. Stay tuned.